So why is it that I will not support Atiku? Number one, because Atiku became a millionaire while he was still a custom officer. Tell me, in Nigeria, anybody who comes from Nigeria and tell me that custom officers are not corrupt, even if you are not a millionaire. But for you to become a multi-millionaire in dollars as a custom officer, and you said you got, is that from your salary?
Definitely.
Who pays, what government pays that kind of salary?
Definitely not.
So I don't need to be told anything else. I think myself. So for me, I have my conclusion about Atiku. That is number one. Number two, if you are a sitting vice president and the international government are chasing you all over the world, America is chasing you, they want you to be repatriated, just like Alain Messiaga or whatever his name.
Alain Messiaga.
Alain Messiaga or whatever.
Yes.
The He's the same kind of guy. So that one, I'm not foolish enough for the whole world, America, to be saying you cannot come to the country. They even looked at his case in the Senate, in the Congress. And his business partner in America is a congressman. Was put in jail. He's still in jail till today. That's why he cannot go to America. The case is in Congress. Go to the United States Congress and type Atiku. Of Abubakar Atiku, you will see official up to today. His case is still there. So am I foolish to that extent to be able to elect that one? So okay, that's number two. Number three, some people say Obasanjo is corrupt. Okay, if Obasanjo is corrupt, let's assume he's corrupt. But when they were together, Obasanjo and him. Even the corrupt Obasanjo was shocked at the level of corruption of Atiku.
He had to write a book.
He had to. We wanted to actually impeach the guy when he was still there because it was an embarrassment. The way he was corrupt, his own was another level. Number three, up to today, one of the reasons why we don't have electricity, because it was Obasanjo Atiku's government that spent 16 billion. Even though I don't blame them for that because electricity will cost more than 16 billion. But Atiku has a business that is connected to refrigerator. He's the one importing refrigerator. Generator, sorry, refrigerator. Generator to Nigeria. Yeah. And that business is what is not allowing Nigeria to have electricity today. And you want to put him as president? Me, I know crazy. Oh. I wanted to say you crazy. But me, I know crazy to that level. My own craziness no reach that one. If he was vice president and we have spent 16 billion on electricity and and his own business is prospering, and you want me to go and now put him as president? That one, I think that it might even be better for Jonathan to return than for Atiku to be there. Somebody said, I read it, it's a very, very rough and very, very incorrect analogy, but I'm going to use it because just for the sake of communication here, making a point. I read it. I'm a Yoruba guy, so somebody said Atiku is Atiku, which means we don't die. We are dead. If that become president, is Atiku finished. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And then the vice president, his own vice president candidate, is called Obi, but they said obituary. So after Atiku, the next thing that follows is obituary. Atiku, it means we are dead. Then what will happen after that is balsam. It's obituary. I would not like to use that kind of joke so much, but I saw it and I think I should just refer to it here because that is exactly the destiny that's waiting for Nigeria. Although my opinion of Obi is totally the opposite. I respect him a lot. I believe that he's one of the brightest minds that we have there in the country. But he's conflicting himself. It seems to be telling a lot of lies, but still, at least he has the passion in the right direction. I would rather make Atiku become retired and Obi the president. I would rather change the position. Let Obi become the president, to only not Atiku. If Atiku is in the team, kaput. In fact, I would have been campaigning against Atiku vigorously. He should be thanking his star that I'm not campaigning against him. And the reason why I'm not campaigning against him is just because of Buhari. His only competitor also is not very impressive. Otherwise, I would have been campaigning the way I campaigned against Jonathan the other time. But Jonathan, I've promised not to campaign for your Buhari. But at least Buhari has integrity, so I would rather let him remain. At least Buhari has started taking the economy in the right direction. I would rather let him remain. The projects that Buhari is finishing, they are overwhelming. The projects that have been standing for 30 years, the guy is finishing them. I mean, he's moving in the right direction. I would rather let Buhari remain than for him to be removed. Now, look at if you have not read the book of Obasanjo, okay, I have it here. Not the book, but the segment where he was talking about Atiku. Let me read to you what he wrote about Atiku in his book. So how will Obasanjo expunge? Okay, let's say Obasanjo wrote in his book about Atiku. He said, "What I did not know, which came to glaring later, was that Atiku had parental problem in his background." But that's not, for you don't, you have parental problem. That's not the problem. Anybody could have parental problem or bringing problem. That's what it is. But, but I will not blame him for that. But look at the real reasons why I believe that what Obasanjo wrote in this book was the plain truth. But what he now did to endorse Atiku was politics. And the facts prove that, because Americans, everybody, the facts prove that. So, but even when he endorsed Atiku, he didn't say what he said is wrong, or he cancelled what he had written in his book. He just said, if you ask me for forgiveness, I forgave him. So now let's read what he had written in the book, because what Obasanjo was actually saying, he was sending a signal to us that in those things and in those areas that concerning me personally, I have forgiven him. But what he's not saying, that he is expecting people who have brain to read, is that, but when what is concerning his moral quality and weaknesses, I cannot stand for him. And what is concerning the nation, his sin against the nation, he cannot forgive. Only the nation has to forgive. You see? So what are the things that the evil that he has done against the nation, why I cannot, and nobody should ever vote for him? And the reason why Obasanjo did it anyway is because too much pressure from his was on him. But that is not even the reason. He's used to pressure. But the reason why he did that is because of the vested interest. He had his own vested interests. He had interests also that are not being satisfied by this present government. And this is the kind of government we need, that will not look at your eyes and give you things just because you are powerful. And that is because he had his own way of defrauding Nigeria that has been stopped, and he wants it to continue. And we don't know the agreement that Atiku has given him and what Atiku has promised him. But he has definitely considered some things. And promised some things, and that is at the expense of the nation. So I would rather have Buhari to be there than Atiku. But let's see what Obasanjo wrote about Atiku concerning his attitude to the nation, not just to him. He said, Atiku has propensity for corruption. Propensity to corruption. It's just what do you call it? It's just not eagerness. It's just inclined. Is it inclined? An inclination to corruption. It's just by all his. How would he not have inclination for corruption? That one, I understand it, because he was a custom officer. Tell me anybody who was in custom officer and became a billionaire that who will not have the inclination or propensity for corruption. That is explainable to me. I don't even need the explanation for that one. Of course, that is understandable because it's facts proving. That is number one. Number two, Atiku has the tendency to disloyalty. I cannot prove that. But that disloyalty might be something personal. He was disloyal to him. So maybe you have forgiven him about that. But disloyalty also could be against the nation. And if you became a millionaire where you were a custom officer, I see disloyalty against the nation right there, bold.
And also with the Mikano generator business.
The generator business, is that not disloyalty against the nation? So next one. So Obasanjo can forgive his own, but he cannot forgive against the nation. The next one is his inability to say and stick to the truth at all time. That is, it means that he has moral issue. He has integrity issue. He cannot, he's not a lover of truth. And for me, that is the biggest problem here. And that is exactly the picture of what is wrong with the whole Nigeria as a whole. No love for truth. If Obasanjo that people accuse of not being, straightforward or not being corrupt. So for me, I used to have a lot of respect for Obasanjo, and I still do. And I think he used to be, it was a person of truth. But for that person to now be saying that this person cannot stick to truth or say truth, he has inability. He's not capable of saying the truth or sticking to the truth at all times. He doesn't have the ability to say the truth or talk less of sticking to the truth.
That's a major flaw.
That's not, I don't even want to have anything to do with that kind of person. Next one. Atiku has a propensity for poor judgment. Now, I've not tried that. I don't know that. I don't have facts for that. But this is his boss saying that.
So
that he has poor judgment. I even had Obasanjo saying it, that I gave him a lot of work because I wanted him to succeed me. The reason I even put him there as my vice president for him to become president after me. But his poor judgment was alarming. And he was always complaining. He just wanted to be vice president and enjoy the position, but not to work hard. And he was even complaining to him as a president that you are giving me too much work.
Too much work.
So why are you there? So that is not what I could judge, but that is what he wrote about him. And this concerns the nation.
Yeah.
If this is true, he cannot forgive this.
Yeah.
Propensity for poor judgment is not something you can forgive.
True.
Lack of truth is not something that you can forgive. These are things that will ruin the nation. I wrote a book, and the book is called Why Nations Fail. Or what is it called?
Yeah.
The Death of Nations.
Death of nations.
The Death of Nations. The Death of Nations. Why countries fail. The death of nations. So the death of nations, in my book, these are the things that lead to the death of nations. Lack of truth, poor judgment, it would bring the death of Nigeria. So I would rather support Buhari in that sense. Then another thing he's writing is his belief, Atiku's belief and reliance on marabouts. Marabouts, is that not bandits, or are they not thieves and bandits?
They fall under the same category.
Yeah. So he is relying on mafia, on bandits to resolve issue.
Yeah.
So, for example, he's going to send people after you. Hoodlums. I don't know that, if that is true or not, but there's no way Obasanjo could forgive that. Because he's going to be using it against other people to silence his enemies. His lack of transparency. And how many people have listened to Abuja talk, Atiku talk too much? That you can't see the transparency at all. Even though he's more eloquent than Buhari, but even Buhari talks more than him. Then his trust, Atiku has a trust and belief in money to buy his way out of all issues. That is, he has mammon problem. He's serving mammon, love of money, and trust in money. Corruption, that is what has led Nigeria to where it is right now. That money is the solution to everything. So those are major flaws that Obasanjo cannot just forgive. These things will haunt, they will haunt the nation. They will haunt and hurt the nation if he is elected. Then he says, Atiku is ready to sacrifice morality for the sake of money. That kind of president, these are qualities that doesn't qualify anybody to become president. He is ready to sacrifice morality, ready to sacrifice integrity, ready to sacrifice truth, and even national interest for self and selfish interest. And you will now be saying you forgave him when you are the one who said he is ready for money to sacrifice national interest. Even though, that settles it. Somebody said, oh, but you too got born again now. You were bad before and you got born again. Everybody can change. Yes, I was bad before. I got born again. The grace, but the grace of God did that. I didn't do that myself. Nobody can change himself by himself. You need the grace of God. But the last I heard, I've not heard that Atiku has received Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, and he has also received that grace that can change him the way he changed me. I've not heard that. Maybe if there is a news like that, forward the news to me. To know that he has accepted that grace that made him to change and be told, but by human power, nobody can prevail. So these things are damning and too damning for me to now say I will support Atiku. I would rather support Buhari. Let him be. Let him finish his next term. If he doesn't finish, if he doesn't improve, it will be on. He will have to answer for it with his conscience for the rest of his life. But I see that what I feel is that Buhari is going to do much better in the second decade of his of his tenure than the first, and that he will be more confident, because during the time of the best we've ever had in Nigeria after return to civil rule is during Obasanjo regime. But you go and check it, the first 4 years of Obasanjo was worse than this. But the second 4 years of Obasanjo, it just took off. It took Nigeria to a new height. I think the same thing could happen with this man here. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Now, we need to spread this word, and we need to do it together. For that to happen, we need your help. Just 5 little steps that you could help us to spread the word. Number one thing we need you to do is to like the videos. Please go like this video right now. Number two, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Number three, we need you to